I just have to say, I trust the universe. I trust you. And I was like, I give up. I give up. I surrender. I know that you've got my back. I know that things are gonna work out. Hi everyone, I'm Anila Sita. The channel is Anila Sita 101. On this channel we talk about spirituality, self-development, stuff that makes you want to upgrade your life and be a better you. I actually was going to make a completely different video today, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like my life has been amazing the past few days, because it hasn't been. But if you know me, I am positive. I always try to see the reason behind things, because let me tell you something, everything always happens for a reason. Things don't just go by coincidence. And it's something that I have been kind of like facing the past few days. I'm sure that if you're going through this right now, then what I'm saying is gonna help you a lot, trust me. I noticed that when we go through stuff, right, when everything is going wrong, it is so easy to become emotionally reactive to things. Like when things don't work out in our favor, we get angry, we get frustrated, opposed to looking to the spiritual side of things and be like, what is the reason behind this? I've noticed that it's so much better to say to ourselves, why is this happening for me, opposed to why is this happening to me? Because it's like nothing happens to you. Things are always happening for you. I look at the universe as the universe is always providing us with what is best for us, and is literally our job to see that. And sometimes when we're, programmed to think negative thoughts, when we are addicted to suffering, it can be very difficult to want to see the positive side of things. But I'm going to share this little story with you of what's been happening. I guarantee you, when you've listened to this story, you will resonate with it in some way, because we all have these kind of stories that are like, ugh, why are things not working out the way that we want them to? Basically, what has happened to me is I work as a tarot card reader on the phone. And my manager told me that I need to set up my phone in a way where I can have 2 phone numbers on 1 SIM card. I'm telling you this because you need to know this is part of the story. I'm like, all right. So I call up my mobile service, whatever network company. I tell them this, and the lady on the phone tells me, oh yeah, we have something called an eSIM. And she's like, we can switch your phone to the eSIM. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Do I have to buy anything? She's like, no, we just do it all on your SIM that you already have. So I'm like, great, that solves my problem. But basically what she didn't tell me was that you need an iPhone 11 or 12 to be able to have the eSIM. I have an iPhone 7. So you can imagine that that's where all of the issues started. So basically, I didn't know this though. She tells me at the end of the phone call, you get an email from us explaining exactly how you need to set up this eSIM. So I'm like, all right, cool. I hang up. I see the email and I'm trying to follow the steps until I realize the steps are not working. There's certain functions that aren't on my phone. Then my phone dies of service, so it has no more service, it has no more 4G, and the Wi-Fi at my place is just not as good as I'd like it to be. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. And I tried to solve it. I go online and I'm Googling like this eSIM stuff, and then it says you need an iPhone 11 or an iPhone 12, so I'm like, well, fucking great. I don't have that, so how am I gonna solve this? And I had no service on my phone, so I was like, what am I gonna do now, since I have to like call them again, I have to speak to them, but I don't know how. So in that moment, I started crying so hard. I know it might seem like such a ridiculous thing to cry over, but the thing is with me that I've noticed when I was crying, it wasn't that I was crying about the SIM card problem. I was crying because I felt so worthless. I felt like the way that people have spoken about me in the past, when people have said, you're just incapable and you're just stupid, like I can't do things on my own, like I always have to rely on someone to do something. And this year, I moved out. I'm an independent woman. I've been doing things on my own, but for some reason when it came to this again, I just started panicking and was like, I don't really trust myself. I don't really know what I'm doing. Looking back at it now, I realized it was meant to trigger me. And this is something I can say about bad experiences that we have. They are always there to trigger us, so that when we get triggered, we can heal it. Because the thing is, like, a bad thing can happen, but in the universe, there's no such thing as bad. Everything is neutral. It's just us. We evaluate things. We say this is good, this is bad. So when something happens, it's neutral, but we evaluate it as bad. Then when it's bad, we are programmed kind of to react to it, to be emotional about it. When a lot of the time, again, it's like it's happening for you. And in that moment, I was being so triggered about stuff that people said to me in the past. For in that moment, I needed to cry it out. I needed to face that emotion that scared me so much. I went on this anxious spiral in my head of like, oh my God, if I don't fix this now, then I'm not gonna be able to get phone calls from my tarot company. I'm not gonna earn money, and then I'm not gonna be able to pay my bills. Like, this is what happens, right? With anxiety, you just kind of assume the worst thing. But the truth is, I have been manifesting money, and I know it's gonna come my way. I have been manifesting so many different things. They always ended up happening. On top of that, I know that the universe has my back. Every time I was desperate and I thought that things wouldn't work out, they always did in some way. So that's just to say, like, this situation wasn't just triggering me, it was also really testing my faith and being like, well, you know that the money's coming. You've been manifesting the money, and you know the thing is, I'm here on this channel and also on TikTok and Instagram, always preaching certain things. Even to my friends, I'm preaching things all the time that then I'm forced in situations like this to live by them. Like, I tell my friends to not worry. I tell them to surrender, to trust that things are gonna work out. But in this moment, I was panicking. And I had to give myself the advice that I always end up giving to other people. Back to the whole triggering thing, I've noticed you don't know that there's something to heal until you get triggered. And healing essentially is confronting an emotion. That's what it is, because to heal a certain part of you, you have to confront it. And in order to confront it, you have to be triggered, because without the trigger, you don't really know that it's a problem. Do you see where I'm going with this? So I was getting triggered yesterday, and I realized that I obviously needed to get triggered to see what was really deep down in me, the underlying beliefs I have of myself, especially since I've kind of been going through this like spiritual awakening and finding out more who I am. I've noticed that I'm constantly put in these situations that trigger me and test all of the beliefs I have about myself, you know? This situation really made me panic, and it made me afraid, because I took that step in January of moving out of home and distancing myself from certain family members, and I knew that that meant as well that I couldn't rely on certain family members anymore, because I took the step to go for my dreams and do my thing and live my life. But with that obviously comes responsibility, and that is again where the deepest fears lied inside of me that were like, you don't know how to solve your problems, you're incapable, and you're fucking stupid. Those were my underlying beliefs. And you know what's crazy is, yesterday I was on the phone with my mobile network providing service, whatever you call the company. I was on the phone with them for hours, to the point where again I was losing my shit the whole time. I was crying, I was so angry, I was so full of anger. And again, it's like the anger isn't about the SIM card, it's about all this other underlying shit that I've never confronted that came to the surface in that moment. So understand that when you get really angry, there's nothing wrong with you, and it's not just a slight tiny little thing that's making you react like that. It's that you've got shit you need to face. I lost my shit, right? As soon as somebody came on the phone, they just kept referring me to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. Nobody was able to help me with my problem, which made me lose my cool even more. So then I ended up getting to this person and I just screamed at them. I lost my shit and was like, I'm so tired of this. I've been on the phone with you guys for hours. And you know what's weird is, like, this is how a family member of mine used to deal with their problems. They used to scream at people in customer service who weren't doing as they said. And you know what I've learned is, like, I've been in customer service. It's so horrible when you're on the other end of the line and you're not the one whose fault it even is. I feel so bad even now thinking about this, and what's crazy is, like, karma is so real. So this is why I'm saying always be kind to people, and this is something I learned yesterday. Me screaming at people ended up nobody wanting to help me. That's your karma right there. Like, nobody helped me yesterday because I was in that mood of just screaming at everyone and being angry at the world, opposed to, like, retracting to myself and being like, this is gonna be okay. It's always gonna be okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why do we always assume the worst and stress so much? What's really weird is I actually ended up you know, sort of communicating with my spirit guides or whatever, I ask them sometimes, and then I allow them, I say, you know, you can speak through me now, spirit guides, and then they speak through me. And they were saying, like, this was meant to happen today, and they were saying, we purposely made sure that nobody would help you because you were meant to get triggered like that. And I was like, well, fucking great, thank you. And they were like, this is a blessing because you won't be getting triggered like this anymore in the future, because you will make sure that you heal this part of yourself. This part of me that feels like I'm so unworthy, like I'm so incapable of solving stuff, like I'm just not strong enough as well, and I'm not smart enough to solve something, you know? So it's like confronting all of those horrible limiting beliefs that I have about myself. And they were like, we see how great you are, we see your worth, but you need to learn to see that too. And you won't learn to see it until you heal that and until you face your stuff. So I was just like, wow, that is so true. And even now, everything ended up going wrong again today. I was just on the phone with someone again for like 2 hours. And I was laying the cards for myself, my tarot cards, when I was waiting on the line, and I was like, why is this happening? And interestingly, the cards were saying the same thing again. They were like, strength, you know, this is gonna make you stronger. And also it's like a card that shows you, you have what it takes to get through this. And that's something I can say to you as well. You wouldn't be put in this situation unless you were strong enough to deal with it. On top of that, I got a card about surrendering, and this is what this whole process has been about again as well, like surrendering, letting go of the control. We always try to control everything, and the truth is we can't control everything. Sometimes you just deal with shit. Sometimes stuff goes wrong. That's life. I just have to say, I trust the universe. I trust you. And I was like, I give up. I surrender. I know that you've got my back. I know that things are gonna work out. It has been the situation for me these past 2 days. Really hope that this inspired you and kind of makes you see the light in your situation, because bitch, trust me, every situation has a reason why it's happening. That's what I've learned. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.